Hey guys, welcome back to another Voymonk video voiceover. And in this one, I kind of want to talk about the things that I know, things that I've learned, or at least the things I've come to understand, and just in general. I know that on YouTube, I was going through some of the searches and it kind of pops up. I'm not sure if it's an algorithm thing or something where it suggests to me all these different tools and ideas for how to expand a channel. Everything from buying bots and views to the way that you edit and use lighting and words. To different ideas about what things you should and should not say, do, or do not do. So starting from there, the thing that I think I've learned, because I want to say that for the most part, when it comes to knowledge, I think I should start off here. I think the saying that knowledge is power, I've never personally found that to be true. I find that knowledge is potentially power, depending on how you use it and what it's used for. It's not always good and it's not always bad. But the thing of it is that I think for as much as anyone could know, and those who know maybe the most, I think the majority of what there is in life we don't know. Most of it. Maybe we'll never know. That's a likelihood. I mean, there's possibility and there's likelihood. I mean, invisible brown dragons are possible. The likelihood, though, without clear, certified, and reliable evidence, I'm going to say that I'll speak to the likely. And when it comes to knowledge, we'll likely never know most things or all things, especially in the limited times that we are afforded in this one. And so, but that being said, the limited things that we do know, I think, are certain and very reliable. But just because you have knowledge, I don't necessarily think that gives you power. Because I think even for as much as you could ever know, and even if you were the smartest person in the world, I think there's always the one thing that you don't know and you'll never see coming. Because I think we all have a blind spot. I think that's the thing that can ultimately undo anything that you have planned or any ideas that you have about any of it. I mean, you could be Albert Einstein, but if you don't see a bus coming around the corner or hear it and aren't aware of it, if that day is your last, what did the rest really matter? I guess that's how I view it. And so when it comes to this knowledge that I see on YouTube and how it's spent and shared, I think it is truly fascinating. I think it's also kind of interesting that some people use it as a form of a business model for views and all that kind of stuff. And that's all cool. And I'm not being critical or criticizing any of that. But speaking for me, I don't know that there's anything on here that this guy who's babbling, and if you've listened to my content up until this point right now, I probably would say that I don't think anyone knows everything. And when it comes to this guy right here, I lived some 40-some years on this planet, and there's just so much that I'm unsure of. Things that I used to be sure of that maybe I'm not, and things that I used to be unsure of that I'm now more certain than yesterday. But it also matters to me where I get I get that in terms of my process and what it is and how that's used. And I'm not going to go into any philosophical ideology or anything like that. I'm just simply saying to you, I don't know everything, and suffices to say what I do know, which are the things I can rely on as solid as I said, the most likely things that I can think of, is that for me, I think it's important that whatever it is that you truly know or truly provide or produce, so long as it has value and that value is determined by the eyes of others, I think, no, there's going to always be something that can be gained one way or another. But in terms of the expectations, though, I don't think that I would ever come on here. And I think the few things that I do feel that I know, I'm not going to sell it. I'm not going to give it away, and I'm not going to pretend as though the ideas and things that I've learned and done work for other people, which I don't know exactly what that would be off the top of my head. So I just think that when it comes to knowledge, I think knowledge can be dangerous. I think knowledge can be a burden. If you've lived long enough, some listening to this might have lived even longer. I think, sometimes knowledge can keep you awake at night. In fact, I think part of the thing that is the reason that maybe my generation probably has a bit more insomnia, and I could be wrong, I don't know if we have more or less, but it seems like there's a lot of people that have insomnia, is because the world has become, I said, known as something that's at our fingertips. And so I think with that knowledge, with that reality comes, again, some burdens. So what does all of that mean? Well, I think for the most part, everybody has their own path. Some people share the ride, and I get that. But for me, I look at it as more something to experience, something to observe, and something to look for in terms of the details rather than sometimes the whole. Taking a step back and seeing things from a whole perspective while being aware of the details that make up what you see. And for me, my blind spots, I think, have always come from, primarily my short-term memory. I'm not good at the short-term memory. But I think on top of that is mostly, well, obviously the ADHD. That is definitely something that I struggle with. But in terms of knowledge in and of itself, it is, how do I put it? It's something that is obtained by experience. For me, on-hand experience, being in it, being able to understand it. Because when I was younger, it didn't matter what I did in school. I think if I had gotten more preoccupied with anything and everything else that was around me, and it usually I did because I had ADHD, I struggled with, so many things in terms of what was between here and there and whatever I would learn. And some of those things would be, or I would say a good chunk of them were things that I manifested for myself to get in the way of things. But I think others were just being in situations and circumstances that just maybe that access, maybe that opportunity just wasn't something to be realized. And so when it comes to knowledge, like I said, sometimes it can be power, sometimes it can be a burden. Sometimes it really doesn't mean anything at all because, again, it'll be the thing that you don't see that'll catch you more oftentimes than anything else. And along with statistics and probability, I mean, the fact is the equations are almost never filled or never known. I mean, details oftentimes, at least in my life, I think get overlooked. Variables that are seen and aren't seen and understood and not understood. I think a perfect example is one of my favorite shows with my mom is Fool Us with Penn and Teller. The thing I love about this show is that the knowledge that you're watching something that you know is a trick. You know it isn't happening, but for whatever reason, your brain is absolutely hardwired into looking at it, seeing it, and then, of course, drawing certain conclusions that will ultimately be about what you believe. And that's fine because you know it's a trick. Or do you know it's a trick? And some people don't. And I think it's not about, well, you don't know everything. I know that a person can't be cut in half and placed back together in any likely scenario that doesn't involve doctors in a hospital with some kind of super advanced technology. And that if it's being done on stage with a guy who's got a flashy coat and a beautiful assistant, I think I know that while I don't know how it's being done, I know that what I'm seeing couldn't at all be possible for what it is that I'm seeing. And there goes the other half of, or the other part of a saying that's seeing is believing and believing is seeing, and one could be wrong or the other or both. Like I said, it's not a social commentary, and I'm not giving any advice or anything like that. It's just perspective is that you can see things, and that doesn't necessarily always conclude what you think either. I mean, I can tell you for a fact, my short-term memory, I can be going through files on my computer looking for a photo, and I'll swear that it's in the sea of photos that I may have. It's there, but as I scan it, as I go through, for whatever reason, by the time I get to the bottom of that page, I'll think I've seen every single photo, and it's not there. And I can't tell you the number of times that I've gone back and I have seen it and gone, oh, I missed something. It's the blind spot. I did a previous voiceover about love, and I think that there too is where blind spots can come in, where you think that you like someone and that it's love, and then you find an interest in them. But then you realize either A, you forgot who you are, and so therefore you don't know who they are, and more importantly, you're not even aware of who it is they want to be with and whether or not that would be you. That's why I said knowledge isn't necessarily always power. Sometimes it's a burden. I think, and I've never been married, if you're in a marriage and it's not working out and, you appreciate, you care about this person, and you probably deeply love this person. I don't think marriages are always about a lack of love. But you can't live together and you can't be with one another because it's the end of the road. You don't like one another, and the only thing there is to being in one another's life is suffering. Like I said, knowledge doesn't always feel like it matters. And knowing that certainly doesn't necessarily make you feel any better. At least for me. I don't. I'm speaking about myself. And I've never been divorced or even in a relationship to that level, but I observe things and I see things. And those are the things that I pretty much observe. And I don't want to be depressing. I just, there's good and there's the bads in life. I'm just saying that knowledge itself doesn't necessarily mean anything in terms of, in the grand scheme, unless there's specifics in how you use that knowledge. I gave some examples about, like I said, Penn and Teller and a trick, even though that you know what you know and know that there's things that you don't know. It still doesn't mean that you know how the trick is done. It doesn't mean that you'll necessarily figure it out. I think when it comes to the things I'm certain about as far as believing, I think individuals can be wrong. I think people can be wrong. I think systems can be wrong because they rely on people. And if there's any one thing I'm sure of is that people, if you give them enough time, they'll not only let themselves down, but they'll let other people down as well, especially when the expectations that are made are ultimately incorrect. And they're very often based on knowledge in terms of what people think they know. And so when I consider all of the things that I've just mentioned, for the most part, I think when it comes to looking up about what started this, videos about people telling how to expand your channel, how to lose weight, how to work on a car, I think all that is amazing to have at your fingertips. I think it is very wise to go with conventional wisdom and follow the beaten path. It's just that sometimes I think it's a little bit more complicated the further you go and realize later on that there are things that you miss. And I think in the, I think it was Captain Picard, my favorite captain of the Enterprise, you can do everything right, make no mistakes. And, it still turns out wrong. I think that happens too. And I could be naive. I mean, obviously it's just a written, it's a written saying, line on a show. And some people go, well, there's always a way to fix it. There's always one. Maybe. But again, I'm unsure of a lot of things as well. And I'm not always sure that every variable in life that can be accounted for is. I think most. There's certainly things, like I said, I'm sure of. And that I feel that I know. But as much as I'll ever know, I think it comes down to, more importantly, what it is I need first and what I want. And I think that's what makes me stupid. Because the truth of the matter is that there's lots of things I know. I know that Coca-Cola is not good for you. It is extremely stupid for me to drink it. Now, some people say in moderation, but it's not good for me. And so I shouldn't be drinking it. Some people smoke. Some people do a lot of things that they absolutely know that they shouldn't be doing. And it's stupid. And it could be the smartest person in the world. It could be the smartest people in the world. A beautiful woman walks across the street and, whatever they're focusing on, and maybe they have a blind spot and, pay attention to something that's, that's maybe more primal or whatever. I don't know. Women, men, the simple point is that, like I said, even with knowledge, even with intelligence, I'm not certain and I'm not sure that you can't be saddled with the same problems that face all of us. And I think better tools will obviously help. Circumstances help even more, but that's where I'm at. And as far as this channel, and as far as teaching and learning and telling other people, I'll never do any of those things. And those are the reasons why. Because despite the majority, most of what I know, and obviously I'm not qualified either, what's important to me is that I know that being sincere, being genuine, treating other people, decency with respect and as you'd like to be treated is a pretty good standard to have. I'm not saying that I want what everyone else wants, so therefore, when it comes to the golden rule, treat others as you'd want to be treated. Some people like to be treated in ways I wouldn't want to be treated or whatever. The point is that I don't know. And that's okay. I think not knowing genuinely, honestly, and doing the best you can is a lot more important than leaning into assumptions and things that maybe feel good, but maybe aren't good. I mean, I need to not drink Coca-Cola. And while there's some alternatives, I drink Coca-Cola. And that's not smart. And that's stupid. And I'm stupid. But I do think I have some ideas. And I do think, despite that, I have things to share. And it's about passions and love and that. I know these last couple of video voiceovers probably been a bit more serious than I tend to want to be or have passion for. I try to stay out of the weeds too much in terms of like dramatics and things of that nature. But as far as things that I know, things that I'll do, and things that I'm sure of, I think I'm like a lot of other people in that regards, as far as I don't know. And so the point is that, like I said, this channel is not going to be about telling you what to think or feel or getting into philosophical arguments or debates or, that kind of thing. But it's also not going to be me, dredging in just to kind of avoid some things in life in terms that could be a little bit in terms of more serious and sometimes what some people would maybe consider deep, to be nothing but about distractions and humor and being mindless either. I don't enjoy that. Nothing makes me laugh less than just laughing for no reason when maybe that's just not how I feel. Again, it's not a criticism. I think humor and comedy and all types, just like everything else, are just fine. But for me, I like to have fun, like I said, exploring and talking with other people and using this as a way of for myself, expressing myself and maybe connecting with other people. So that's what this is about. But while saying all that, I love to learn. I love to learn about you. I love to learn about those who are out there besides myself. And while I'm not here to teach anybody or tell people what to do, I'm not here to be taught. I'm not here to learn. I'm not here to follow anything or be coached or buy books or anything like that. I'm not here to sell that kind of thing or anything like that. I don't have any 5 easy steps or books or things like that. This is just supposed to be fun. And sometimes the conversations and content can be a little bit more deep, more, more, I guess, more serious than not. But I think the more important is to be sincere and that have no expectations or agenda. And so just looking at the world and the life that we have, I mean, I think freedom means being free to make your own choice and make your own mistakes, and I definitely have made mine. So, yeah. Anyways, I think that's probably going to do it in terms of this video voiceover. I'm kind of doing a little bit of a mental inventory as I'm speaking here. If there's anything that I kind of meant to say or put into this video voiceover that I haven't, because, them's the follies of not having a script or having it pre-planned, but just going with what I feel in my heart. Yes, my heart. And I definitely appreciate the fact that on here there are different content creators that do make all kinds of great information and material and things that one can definitely learn from. I don't necessarily know that if that's all there is, and there seems to be a lot, that it's always interesting for me or to me. And so, therefore, this channel. So, but that's going to do it for this video voiceover. And if you like what you hear, should I do the cliche, please subscribe, rate, and listen, comment, that kind of thing? I mean, I think if you are at all needing that kind of encouragement, I don't know. Hopefully it comes to you that it gets said a lot of common sense, but I actually rather prefer good sense. I think good sense says that, and maybe you're not thinking about it, so maybe that's why it's good to maybe mention, comment, rate, and subscribe. But if for whatever reason, you like what you hear from anyone, if you're making some content, you'd like someone to leave you a message, some encouragement or subscribe, that's, maybe something to think about. I certainly won't be filling broadcast or vlogs or video voiceovers with, capitulating, comment, rate, and subscribe. I mean, I might put that in somewhere. I might say, hey, can you throw me a follow? Whatever. That'd be great. So anything, until my next video voiceover, take care.